Hello, everybody. Today I'm bringing you another edition of Lesson Notes, and today we've got a 2027 that I've actually posted before. And we're using a training aid. That's the video on the right there. And we're going to start with this video on the left. And again, I think it's always helpful to think about the context of why we're making changes. I mean, at the end of the day, you really shouldn't be making changes to your golf swing unless they correlate with major problems that you're seeing. So the major problems that we've been kind of having with this player is a lot of thin strikes, a lot of toe strikes, and then just suboptimal pivot to where the ball tends to go left. And so that's kind of the thing we're thinking about. And so, as I'm identifying things in his swing that are causing that doesn't really matter. Like, that's kind of like going to the doctor and saying, like, well, here's the problem, but not providing a solution. So you have to be able to provide a solution beyond just telling the person what's wrong. And sometimes that involves using a training aid. A training aid would generally help support the feels that the player would hopefully leave with. So let's just start with the video on the left, and I'll kind of walk you through, the problems that we're continuing to see and why. So, not a ton on the backswing. Everything there looks fine with regard to kind of what we're talking about. Like, why is it going left? Why would it be thin, or why would it be toe? And so what we'll see immediately on the downswing, though, is there's a very, very shortening of the radius. So what that means is you can see the left arm here starts to get really bent. Okay, so why does that matter? There are people on the PGA Tour that have a bent left arm a little bit. So why does that matter? Well, that's going to mean that the club basically is shorter, because if the left arm is shorter, then the club is closer to you. The club head is closer to you. And so you're likely going to see thin contact and ground contact. The other thing is that the shaft is getting pretty darn narrow on the downswing as this is a consequence. So there's not a whole lot of width. Width would just mean that you're keeping the circle really, really wide, your hand path really wide on the downswing. Now, if he were to extend his left arm from here, I guess it wouldn't matter that much. But as you'll see as this video plays out, you can see that left shoulder is that left arm is staying very, very bent. And in fact, I think you get even a better picture here of how bent that is. And then as we get to club parallel here, so that's kind of the picture that we see, right? So you can see the left shoulder, the left arm is like that, and then there is the bent arm. And so that, I would say that is kind of suboptimal when it comes to radius control. Radius control, arm control, arc depth, all that stuff is really what leads to consistency in the strike. As far as the lag, you can see there it's really nice, so it's nothing there that's a problem. Now, if we continue to play this out to impact, there you go. So there's the main problem with what we're seeing with regard to the thin. He just basically can't reach the ball, if you want to think of it another way. Okay, so let's just stop there and let's look at the Tour Striker ball. So the Tour Striker ball is something you'll place around your neck, and then it has a ball that you kind of put between your arms. And so the idea I gave him here was, imagine that you're wearing a necktie and you're just trying to keep that straight or taut the entire time. You don't want to feel any looseness in the tie on the downswing. So obviously you're not going to do as big of a backswing here because the training aid is somewhat limiting. But again, if I'm just telling him to keep his left arm straight or something like that, I don't think that's going to lead to much. And so when I put this on, say, okay, maintain the stretch in the band, obviously that's going to be helpful. So let's do a kind of a comparison here. So there's lead arm parallel on the downswing. So you can already see there's a lot more width. Oh, by the way, I didn't say this player is very, very steep on the downswing with regard to angle of attack. So angle of attack with, I think this was a 7-iron, is 8 or 9 degrees down. So that's quite a bit. And so when we try to think about shallowing it or having it be less steep, that really would come from, there's more than one way, but the narrowness versus the width on the downswing that you see in this lead arm parallel position would definitely be different. So, and you can also see a big difference in the left arm versus the bent. Okay, let me clean this up just so we can see better. All right, and we'll continue to play that out on the downswing. So there's that same parallel position with the shaft. Boom, let's go to the next one. You can see there's quite a big difference there. I'm not really cueing anything else with his body at this point. This is just kind of domino effects. Things are changing as he gives attention. And then as we go to impact, you can see that's really the key is we want to see the arms a little bit more extended because that's going to shift the contact a little bit more heel side, which he really doesn't heel it. and then a lot more divot. In fact, if we go back to this video on the left, you see that he kind of thins. You can see there's a little bit of ground contact, but it's very late and it's very, very thin. And where here, you can see there's a much healthier divot. So now we're starting to see the gains in using the training aid. Okay, now the other thing that we were working on was you can kind of see here on his pivot, his head kind of moves to the trail side and it stays really down. His chest is going, his arms are going. And so generally speaking, when you see that, we would say the pivot doesn't look great, and that's probably going to lead to some start lefts for someone who's trying to hit a draw, which he is. And so the nice thing about the ball is it's really easy to kind of visualize keeping the ball in front of your chest and your head. So you can see there, he's definitely starting to rotate towards the target better. The head is starting to go. The arm extension is better. Keep playing this out. That's kind of the difference in what that would look like. Granted, yes, this is at a slightly slower speed, not because I'm telling him to swing slower, more because the ball just kind of makes you swing slightly smaller. But the nice thing about training aids is that they help you with your blueprint swing. So I don't have to give him a whole lot of cues other than say, hey, why don't you go practice with the ball? And this will likely solve these two problems. You can look at it on video, but I think with enough reps, if you're kind of like brushing your teeth, if you're doing this every day, over time, it should lead to, much, much better positions, which again, positions are irrelevant. It really just has to do with the problems that I'm seeing, and will this solve that problem? So I would encourage you, whenever you're thinking about what the problems are in your swing, either find drills, like I've posted 1,000 drills on this channel, or find training aids that support those things, and likely you'll see improvement much, much faster. If you feel like you're stuck, that doesn't mean that you don't know what to do. It just means that the way you're going about it is probably not leading to much, because it's just based on theory, or this is much based on more in reality of like, okay, if you wear this, this is going to help. So hopefully that's helpful. Drop a comment if it was. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. And good luck at the next time you go hit some balls.